All right, gentlemen, the stream is live, so I just got to test the audio and connect the chat, but we'll be ready in a second. Can I get a quick mic check for Mr. Samuels, please? Thank you very much, sir. Let's see. Mr. Samuels, I guess I will need you to do one more test, please. The last one didn't work.
Make sure to hit that share button. We're going to be starting here in just a few moments. Invite all your friends and family because we're back from our hiatus for all of you that miss seeing our beautiful black shining faces. Smiling faces? Smiling and shining, maybe?
I'm always shining. That's a sign that you're clean, boy. When you're black, when you got lotion and grease on you, you clean. I'm just saying.
Let's see. I got to get one more from you, Mr. Samuels. I think your mute was on that last time, so let me try.
Okay. How are we now? How are we doing now?
That
are we good?
All right, we're in business, guys. Take it away whenever you're ready.
Welcome back to Black Republican, Black Democrat. I'm Jamar. Am I Jamar?
You are Jamar.
I'm Jamar. I've been gone for so long, I don't know.
And I'm AK Kamara.
And you are AK Kamara.
I'm AK Kamara. How you
Welcome
been,
back.
bro?
Well, you know what? Listen, every day that the Lord wakes me up and the sun shines, so even when the sun don't shine, it's a great day. Amen.
Amen.
God is good.
All the time.
Amen. Watch out now. Man, listen, we've been going so long. We don't got time to do any pussyfooting around. We just got to get right to it.
We got to jump right into the meat and potatoes. We had a lot of things that have been happening.
And what have we been off? 3 weeks? 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. We've been gone long enough.
A little bit of a hiatus, right?
Well, long enough that if you were married, which you are, and you left home that long, you'd be divorced when you got back.
You might be divorced.
Yeah, or
you might be divorced.
You probably would be. Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Or you'd be looking for somewhere to live.
So how you been, bro?
I've been all right, seriously. You know, I've just been involving myself, been moving, and you already know. I ain't gonna tell you because I'm moving to somewhere small, and you moved into this big monstrosity. You know?
Yeah, now you've been out to the crib.
And so, yeah, black folks don't live out there either. Moving is mentally taxing,
yeah,
you know,
sure,
physically as well. And I just can't wait till tomorrow when I'm not doing any of it. I just will relax, and I'm not gonna do anything. Seriously.
Yeah, no, my sister-in-law and my niece are in town. Shout out to my niece. What up, Lizard? And
Lizard who?
Lizard.
Okay.
We bought a new puppy, so we got a puppy. We got appliances coming tomorrow. So even though we've been already moved in for a month, we still got things we be doing. And with me being out of town, man, it's been
you
wild.
gonna need that dog. I hope he bites.
No,
ain't no more other black folks around you to save you.
Beans. He's a Boston Terrier. He's
I hope he bites.
He's like brown. He's a cool little dude.
I hope Beans bites.
I mean, he's a puppy.
Well,
so
I hope Beans grow up to bite because
you
going to need him, brother. You going to need him out there. You going to need that dog way out there where you live out here. Out there in the sticks.
Well, out in the sticks, we're a little bit further away from some convenience stores. But if you live in Minneapolis and you need to get yourself some bread, need to get yourself some postage, need to grab yourself something cold to drink, where are you going to go?
I personally would go to the Weber Mart.
The what?
The Weber Mart.
Yeah, man.
And the reason I would go to the Web Mart is because it's a one-stop shop. Like you just said, you can get mail service done. You can get your a lot of your groceries and your goods. And it's great conversation with the owner and the community members around there. And Kevin is a great owner. And we recommend going to the
Weber Mart. Please visit the Weber Mart. Patronize the businesses that help put the show on.
Please, it helps pay some bills around here.
It does help pay some bills, man.
When the guy drops the camera, it's because he's angry he didn't get paid. Hold that
and
camera
also
steady.
make sure, if you guys haven't done so already, please hit that like button. Please hit the share button so your friends and family can see exactly what we are doing and what we're producing. And make sure to visit our link tree. By going to our link tree, it's going to allow you to connect with us on all of our socials. And that's linktree/BRBD. And it's going to, again, allow you to connect with us on all of our socials. But the most important thing is, if you like the work that we do, please hit that Patreon link. That's going to allow you to become a subscriber to this program. And every subscription, 100% of your subscription goes to actually producing the show. So if you like what we do, please show some love, show some support, and support our show.
So what he's trying to say is the guy holding the camera that almost dropped it earlier, he wants to get paid, so that's how we pay him.
That's how we pay
And
him.
I'm going to speak Ebonics for you. We need the money.
We need the money.
And just say.
Dig deep within your heart and within your wallet if you like what we do.
AK, being gone for so long, bro, we've had so much serious things happen around the nation and, of course, here in the city. But, to get back to businesses, what we do on this program, bro, is tackle tough topics. And nothing more tougher than the 3 mass shootings that we've experienced in a month's time, I believe it's been, or a month and a half, and the 2 back-to-back.
Yeah.
It's for me, you don't have to be politically derived to come to a conclusion that common sense says we need to strengthen the gun law so that there aren't so many slippery slopes that folks use for the loopholes, and enact some new ones. Because some of the old ones are been on the books since Jesus was a small boy, for real. I think Methuselah is the one that wrote them, okay? And things have happened, bro. We've got to change with the times. And each of these murders that have happened, these mass killings by lone white shooters, have been done with AR-15s. 11s, 15s, whatever you want to call them. Right? What are they? 15? What was the AR-15? I own a small gun, so I don't know. I now own a small gun, so I don't know. 9mm. When are we going to put politics aside and agree that we need to protect our families, our kids that are in schools? 19 kids lost their lives. And before you and other Republicans say that the Democrats are going after their guns and that we should put guns in schools, AK, there were guns in school. There were armed teachers. There were police in that building that were so disorganized that it led to the lives of 21 people being killed. I'm not blaming anyone. I think there's some total incompetencies that happen on many different levels. But when are you and I going to agree, as a Democrat and as a Republican, whatever, conservative, whatever you want to call us, that it has to be some sensible gun laws, bro, that prevent things like this from happening?
So the problem is, when you say sensible, I want to truly believe that you want something to happen. But if the policy proposals you show me wouldn't actually have an impact on the things that we're talking about, that's where you start to lose me. So let's kind of walk a few things through. When you talk about the mass shootings that are occurring and the use of an AR-15, when you mention that here's the things that we want to do to stop this from happening, that to me doesn't make sense about what the actual proposed legislative bill is, the one that just got passed by the House today. If you look at the Uvalde shooter, right, that's a vile human being. That's an evil human being who, by the way, was not white, right? He was non-white. And what he did, no, he was non-white. His name is Salvador Ramos. And I don't even want to say the evil, vile human person's name, but he's not a white person. But the things that he did, you can't stop bad people from doing bad things all the time. Sometimes bad things happen. The best thing you can do, in my opinion, is be able to defend yourself. And so
there were people in there, though, AK, with guns.
Yeah, the cops that got there,
they're armed teachers.
They failed. They absolutely failed.
Okay, so then so then I'm going to advocate for more people in schools that are armed that fail our kids, that lead to the lives of 21 people being killed because they're so incompetent. I'm just saying this, bro. Before you go down the road of that these things can't be prevented when we enact laws, let me stop you. This guy, the day after his birthday, bought the rifle because he can't own a handgun at 18. Correct. He can go buy a rifle.
Right.
Which is what he ended the lives with his grandmother. So what did he kill? 22 people total.
Well, his grandma is alive and in good condition.
He shot her. He did. He left her for dead.
He did.
He left her for dead. Yeah. So he intended, right? The day after his birthday. So AK, if I can prevent an 18-year-old like this or someone that has mental incapacitations to prevent him from getting this particular weapon, which, come on, AK, most of these are. All of the mass shootings have been done with AR-15s. They're not done with most of them aren't done with handguns because you can't kill that many people with a handgun.
Well, you absolutely can kill
You're not in Chicago
with a handgun.
Yeah, if you live in Chicago.
Again, here's my issue is that if your goal is to try and stop these specific types of things.
What do you mean that's the goal? That's the goal.
Right, so that's your goal. But your goal isn't going to do that because people
of course
will come up with other ways to still kill people.
But I ask you a question: how many of these last shooters how many of these last shooters killed their victims with handguns?
How many
of
the mass shootings?
Of these last 3, 4, 5.
There was a bunch of mass shootings that just happened over the last weekend during Memorial Day.
Okay.
And almost all of them used handguns.
See,
I'm serious.
I know you like to cherry pick. See, there you go. And as your boy Ronald Reagan would say, there you go again. No, being serious, AK, most of them are done with the AR-15 or something faster. You can't really kill that many people with a handgun.
According to FBI data, in 2020, 66% of homicides in the United States they used handguns.
They're talking about states of Chicago, Baltimore. They're talking about drive-by shootings and things of that nature. We're talking. No. Be specific.
Oh yeah, I am being specific.
The numbers of mass shooters that are done, they're mostly white, lone shooters that are done with rifles.
Sure. And so if your goal,
yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
But how many people died from mass shootings? Right. Buy a long rifle.
Okay? So is one enough?
I mean,
one should be enough.
Let's just put this in perspective. 19,000 people died by gun homicide in 2020. Of those 19,000, only 243.
Only? Oh, okay.
Right? And so if your goal is like, I want to stop all of these legal gun owners from owning a long rifle that are this age, right? Or you want to stop anybody, which I know that's not what the proposal is, to completely ban in all aspects. I mean, there are people that are advocating for it, but the bill that just got passed isn't banning the use of long rifles. It's saying that you have to be 21 and all these different things. But by you restricting that, I'm going to say this is supposed to be a fundamental right according to the Second Amendment. And if your goal is that you want to save 243 lives, I'm telling you, that's not going to do that.
Are you a law-abiding citizen?
Yes, of
course. With your handgun?
Yes.
Do you do the right things with your handgun?
I do.
Then why do you worry? Then why do you worry? Because
why do I worry?
Don't give us a political spiel of Democrats are going to take your guns away. No Democrats are going to take your guns away. We're trying to strengthen the laws that are on the books. We're trying to enact new ones.
To do what though?
To prevent these things from happening, AK, because they've been done with rifles.
But here's what I'm saying: if you're using that, as
we're working on the shooters with handguns as well too.
Yeah, but see, then there you go.
What do you mean? There you go.
So if you're going to use, we need to save. If one life is saved, and we need to ban this type of weapon.
Are you mad that the law mandates seatbelts?
Am I mad that no?
Okay, so why would you then? Why would you? And you do abide by the law and put your seatbelt on when you get in your car?
I mean, because of the annoying ding. Yeah.
You would anyway.
I actually probably would. I probably listen if I didn't get a ticket for it.
Okay.
So again, as I just said, I probably wouldn't.
So the answer is yes, because I just asked you that. You obey the law. You put your seatbelt on.
I do obey
whether
the law.
It knows you or not.
But I'm law-abiding.
Well, it might annoy you to wait a few days to buy that gun. But if you're a law-abiding citizen, why does it annoy you enough?
I also don't have a constitutional right to drive a car. I have a constitutional right to own a firearm. So I'm going to continue to go back to.
You have a right to drive that car, though, right?
I mean, you do have a right, but
it may not be written in the Constitution.
Right, you're right. Okay. I do have a right, but I don't have a constitutional right that says the government can infringe on this. And this is what my issue is. If you're going to use as your reason for saying here's some restrictions we're going to put in place, then the logic would dictate if you're going to stop these mass shootings from occurring, then if you still say that you need to stop all homicides from occurring, so you need to get rid of handguns like Canada literally just did, right? Canada, I mean, Trudeau announced that it actually hasn't been passed, but they're going to put a freeze on the sale and transfer of all handguns in Canada, and that's the road that we go down. And you say, well, then what's the big deal? Because
still have
I
don't
guns,
say
man.
that. I'm not asking what's the big deal. I say that I don't blame him because mass shootings like this scare you into those type of things, though. AK, that's the truth.
We shouldn't be scared to take.
Hell yeah, you should be scared. Absolutely, because I don't send my child to school to be killed. I'll do that at home.
I agree.
I'll do that at home.
And I'm saying
I brought you in this world. I'll take you out. I'll do that at home. I don't send you to school to do it. And I'm being dead serious.
There's other things that you can do.
No pun intended. Excuse me.
There's other things that you can do that don't have to infringe upon our rights.
Well, I'm not infringing upon your rights to enact laws that prevent people, some people that aren't supposed to own a weapon, to not own a weapon. And again, yes, let's talk about it because you're right. We've had this discussion before we bring in our guests. We've had this discussion before when it talks about who should own it. We're gonna have that talk. Right, I'm like this about that, but I do know that I want to prevent it, and I do know that there are some people that shouldn't have it, and I do know that in a state where you can't own a handgun till you're 21, but you can own a rifle. Hell, if at 7 they promote.
Well, that's federal. It's federal that you can't own a handgun until you're 21 because of the bill in 1968 that. Whatever.
Well, the governor, what's his face Abbott was asked about it, and he said even if it wasn't federal law, he wouldn't make it. But
listen, to be fair,
I mean,
to be
there's
fair
no
about
fair
the
about
rifle,
that.
yes, there is.
No, it isn't.
It's because
you kill people with. You can't even hunt with that. You don't. What do you hunt with that? You tear the meat up.
AR-15?
You tear the. What are you hunting bears?
No, AR-15. Yes, you absolutely.
You tear deer meat. You tear deer meat up.
Absolutely.
You tear deer meat up.
Jamar, we're not talking about a fully automatic weapon. We're talking about a semi-automatic. Yes, a lot of people hunt.
We're talking about a weapon that's so powerful that when it hits a 4-year-old child, that it blows their head, the child's head off their body, that they had to identify the kid.
That is a talking point.
It's not. No, that is not false.
He used 5.56 ammo rounds.
I don't care if he used 2.27.
You can literally go online. You
mean to tell me?
Happens when a 5.56.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Because we got to bring in our guests. I'm going to ask you a question. Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me that a bullet trajectory wouldn't be different in a guy that's you? I weigh 172 pounds. What do you weigh? You want to say on there?
300.
Okay. Yeah. You weigh 300 pounds. Would a bullet penetration be different in you than it would in me?
Would a bullet penetration? No.
Of course it would.
I have more meat on my body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I rest my case, Your Honor. So again, a 5-year-old child that weighs 26, 30 pounds, 45, 50, 60 pounds versus 300 pounds or 170 pounds. How do you think the impact is of that? Yeah, it tears the child up like it would do. A deer.
That is a talking point.
It's not a talking point.
That is meant to make it seem even
like
scarier.
If that's you guys are talking about gas.
It's not true. It's just not
true. It is true.
That rifle round is used.
You can
to hunt.
Google. You can also Google what an AR-15 does to hunted animals.
What the actual type of bullet that you're using. Because a lot of hunters use a 308 round, right? Because you're not trying to tear up the meat. But yes, a lot of hunters hunt with 5.56 and 2.23. And like I said, that vile human being, that evil person used 5.56 ammo. And my whole point is that if you're going to try and use these talking points, and I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm saying this is what I've heard coming from the left and even people on the right that want to have these gun control, use facts. Like when you say this is only a weapon of war, no. I mean, it can be, but you can't take an AR-15 or any long rifle and turn it into a fully automatic weapon. You can do that with an actual M16 that is issued to our military. You can put it on 3-round bursts or fully auto. You can't do that with a civilian gun. It's illegal. So what we're talking about...
because that prevents things because it's illegal.
Every time you pull the trigger, you are firing a round. And that's what they're talking about. And that, to me, is not an assault rifle. Assault rifle, by the definition that was listed, is a fully automatic weapon that you hold the trigger and it bop, 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 and it bucks. That does not happen with any of the rifles that are out there on the market of any of these shootings that have happened.
So how... AK, listen... I just asked you before we started.
Yeah.
Can you put politics aside?
But I can't put my freedoms aside, man.
Oh, wait. So wait. Let me get this right. So those 19 kids, they went to school.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have a right to peacefully.
Of course.
Oh, okay. So,
but you act like it's a either or, and it's not.
it is.
That's my whole point.
Republicans don't think it is, but it is.
If everything was in a vacuum, and you could say that if I could stop this one action, and if I stop this action for sure, it would mean that these children.
It will
but
prevent.
Life isn't in a vacuum.
You're right. Sometimes it isn't, but it also prevents. All right, and that's why tonight's guest is perfect to have on the show because the crime that's been happening in Minneapolis. Tomorrow, his case will be heard at the Supreme Court level. Welcome to the show, candidate. I'm sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied because this man gets me all hyped up.
All fired up.
Yes, please. Candidate for Congress, Don Samuels, former two-term. What are you? Three-term city council?
3 terms.
Three terms. He's, 3 terms. Not 2, 3 terms. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Doing great, thank you. Great to be here with you guys, and you have a great show, so it's a pleasure to be on.
I think we've been waiting to have you on, Don. Let's begin as we did. Let's get to the thick of things. I know you, and I've met you and I know a lot of things that you do, but a lot of our viewers do not. So, who is Don Samuels?
Well, I'm a family man. I'm married to my incredible wife, Sandra. We have 3 kids that we raised here in North Minneapolis, having lived here for 24 years. I also have a son who, from a previous marriage, and I raised him as a single dad, so he's out there somewhere.
Like most kids, right?
Yeah. And then I am a community leader. Once we moved in, a week later, a bullet came through what would be our baby's room window, and we set about to organize right away.
Wow. One week after moving into the neighborhood, what side of town did you live on?
We live in the Jordan neighborhood.
Okay. Wow. In North Minneapolis, right?
Troubled Park, right near here.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, my neighbors asked me to run for office from our organizing efforts. Went on the school board, the city council for 3 terms, and the school board for 1 term. And I now lead an organization called Microgrants, and I'll tell you about that as time goes by. And also, I am now, of course, running for office for the Congress of the United States in the 5th District. I'm a person of faith, and I like to see myself as someone who embraces people of all faiths and respects all people's beliefs, and believe that, in fact, faith done in an inclusive way can really improve our society and make us all one.
Don, before the show, I kind of talked with you a little bit. I've heard a lot about you in a good way, actually, talking about the things that you have done where, in a way, you're able to kind of transcend politics, which I think is difficult to do, and especially in a highly partisan environment. The fact that you've been a city council member for multiple terms on the school board, I hear often that you really care about, making sure that the outcome is that people are doing better and that you will put aside the labels in a certain way. And so the thing I wanted to ask you is, coming into this race, like you said, some of your neighbors had talked to you about running. How do you do the same thing when you're going to have Democrats that say, how dare you try and challenge this great, Congresswoman, Ilhan Omar? So can you just tell me, like, how do you square that, to try and say, I'm not trying to betray politics, but I'm running because I believe that there's something that I can do that's not being done?
Yeah, well, let me first say I am a Democrat, as my opponent Ilhan Omar is. And like her, I believe in the basic tenets of the Democratic Party. But we do have a few differences. You can see that in the recent debate over policing, She wanted to defund the police. I believe that you have to hold both, needing to reform the police and ensuring the safety of the community. You can't support one that endangers the other. It's difficult to hold two things, but that's part of maturity and high quality leadership, that you take the heat from both sides while you hold them each. And so I'm able to do that. I think my opponent is not quite able to do that, and that has jeopardized us, communities like mine here on the north side. And so that kind of common sense, reasonable leadership that allows one to compromise sometimes when necessary in order to get things done. My opponent tends to take votes in Congress that are contrary to the Democratic mainstream, like, for instance, the Russian oil sanctions. She voted against it. The sanctions against the Russian oligarchs, voted against it. The infrastructure bill, voted against it. The refurbishing of the Capitol security, she voted against it. So time and again, there are several other votes taken that, on principle, she separated herself from the party, made us weaker in a divisive environment, and to no end. In other words, there was no chance of winning anything. She was making a point. She is in Washington to make a point. I'm going to Washington to make a difference.
Word. I like that. So I think he stole one of my questions. I think he's looking over here at my paper.
Nah, we just got great minds, man.
Yeah, no, that's right. So let me kind of piggyback on that. He asked you, like, why run against Ilhan, the party favorite, and you mentioned her talking about police reform and voting to end the police. I think she's garnered a lot of attention because folks see it as a police problem, Don, especially folks in our community and on the north and south side of Minneapolis. Is there a police problem? Is what Ilhan saying correct? Is there a police issue? Is there a community issue? And how do we go about reform without tackling what's going on in police departments? In this police department, especially, MPD.
Yeah, well, let me say that we have an incredible moment, unprecedented in the history of the world, or certainly of the United States, where we saw online the torture and murder of a black human being by a white human being, expressing the worst expression of racism,
right,
and of police abuse. And many people didn't believe it was real. Well, if you didn't, now you know.
Now you know.
And so the moment, what that gave us was, because people were seeing that for the first time, it gave us an opportunity to do things that had never been done before, meaning transform this police department. And I believe the moment was squandered in this kind of one-sided view of change. And a total disconnection from the terror that was experienced on a daily basis by people in the community, a demand to defund the police, embolden criminals, and separated our safety as if we were, two different sets of human beings. One wanting to be safe from the police, one wanting from the safety from the community, and the side of safety from the police was going to win, and the side with safety from the community was going to lose. And so we can't afford to do that. We have to hold those two things together. Yes, there is a problem with the police. We have to hire from the community. We have to hire for psychological health. We have to train with new methods, no warrior training. We have to do community policing. When a cop is on the beat and he sees something being done, he should be able to pull the guy off the citizen, stop it, report him, and it needs to stick. When the chief disciplines someone, that discipline should not be overturned by arbitration. And then we need to follow up and report to the public of all the kind of trends in violations and so on. And so we can do it. We can't waste this moment.
So Don, I wanted to ask you, being that there's kind of two, well, I'll say it this way, that there's kind of the progressive criminal justice reform at, in my opinion, a radical level. And then there's, I guess common sense that I think a lot of Republicans and Democrats agree on, that something should be done about police reform, but that you can't decriminalize crime.
Right.
And I think that trend is now moving towards the favor of, I think, average everyday Americans. I think that a lot of the defund the police movement has lost a lot of steam. So for you, being that you've been in the community for so long, what do you hear, and what kind of message would you bring to Congress, to DC, about what people in the community that you've grown up in want from policing?
Well, as you know, I live in the inner city community. I live in the Jordan neighborhood. I hear the gunshots at night. Okay, when you hear
And daytime.
and daytime and night. When you hear north side shooting, it's usually in my part of the north side. So I hear it. And one of the reasons we live here is so I can hear it. And I moved here so I could give back. I got so many blessings from the sacrifices of the African American community and their allies in the 60s. I felt that I needed to put myself in a position to give back. And so that's why we planted ourselves in a place of greatest need. So I'm using this opportunity to bring the voice of my silenced communities, the people who hear the gunshots, to the fore, to the city, to the Star Tribune, to the CNN, to Congress, to say we have to keep our people safe first, before any business can flourish, before people can stabilize their residence, before people can invest in community, before children can learn, they have to be safe. Number one, I'm going to Congress saying we have to have safe communities, and we can't abandon them to the whims of crime and dysfunctional communities.
Don, are you okay with some in our community, or some some of our supporters or folks that are on the side, are you okay with being called pro-police? The pro-police candidate is, if right now we're dealing with volatile times with the MPD, and again, your case will be heard tomorrow. We got to talk about that too. Do you think that hurts you with, younger voters or even black folks that have had bad, run-ins with the police, or know someone that has, and being known as a pro-police candidate? Are you okay with that? How do you combat that?
Well, I'm pro-safety.
Word.
I'm pro all the components of safety. I support the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act, right? I support the Amir Locke bill that is being proposed by my opponent. I have reported to the 5th Precinct things that I've seen with my own eyes that police have done. And my reputation spread through the precinct while I was on the council as someone who hates police. At the same time, when I say we need justice in the community from criminal activity, I get the reputation of being pro-police. So the function of leadership is to hold the tension of being misunderstood on both sides. And if you capitulate to one because it's the majority, or because it's cool, or it's hip, or it's woke, then you sacrifice your community.
So the thing that I find so interesting, Don, as someone that I truly enjoy politics, and I've seen over the last 4 years, you just used the word woke, where there has been this woke wave of progressivism that kind of took a real hard root. And I think that, honestly, Donald Trump activated a lot of those feelings where people are like,
he woke them up.
We need a pushback. Now, I personally think Donald Trump was a great president. But my question that I have for you,
just
is
cursed.
that how do you have these conversations with people that are woke.
Well, you never started with
that-
saying that Donald
have-
Trump is a good president. That's for damn sure.
Donald Trump was a great president.
Yeah, right.
But how do you have these conversations with people? Because it seems that being woke doesn't really work from a liberal perspective. If I can put that label on, I'm not.
Neither is being racist from.
But how do you have those conversations with people that say no, we need to do all these woke things?
Yeah, well, that's part of mature leadership, is to first lead with your life, right? You have to be believable, because young people and people who are quote unquote woke are tired of the status quo, and they are right in that, and they are going too far because they don't think things are going to change. So they're looking for real answers and real leadership. And when they see someone in the middle, I call it the radical middle. When they see someone in the middle, it seems like you're selling out to them. And so the job of real leadership is to hold the middle. Because over time, just like your kids will say you hate them, you don't love them, they hate you, they don't love you, and then, they turn a certain age after a certain reality kicks in, and the parent stood and held the line, and they turn around and they say,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And so my job in the last 24 years that I've lived here, and believe me, I've been opposed by many leaders, I've been opposed by activists, was to hold the line and show that I cared, that I wasn't leaving.
But Don,
that I would be part of this community.
Folks are
and when insight,
folks will call you establishment. So again,
Yeah.
I mean, and I hear you, but here's the pushback. Folks will say you're establishment, with your some of your past votes, your past supports, blah blah blah. So again, this is the new Don, right? This is Don that believes that he's running because Ilhan is not representing us, and I strongly believe, I strongly agree with you there. I can't pinpoint much of what she's done other than be the first to do this or be the first to do that, But when it comes to doing the real work, I cannot tell you what she's done. And so I strongly support your candidacy. I strongly support new leadership being in this position because, most of the time I've only supported her because of her previous opponents have attacked her character and not her policies. And there's so much to attack her policies for, but it's forced people like me to vote for her anyway because you're not dealing with substantive issues, you're dealing with personal issues. So, I mean, again, how do you combat with folks saying, oh, well, Don's, your establishment. So some of these woke and youngsters, folks, she can go say that your establishment. Look, he's been a 3-term city council person, blah, 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 career politician. How do you combat that? I like that smirk. I like that.
Look, I believe in a woman's right to choose.
Right.
I believe in universal health care.
Right.
I believe in the equality of LGBTQ community.
Word.
And conservatives don't believe that.
Word.
I also live
don't believe that.
I also live
We
in
do,
the
but just
most
differently.
No, you don't.
challenged part of the city of Minneapolis. And I've lived in the most challenged part of any city I've lived in for the last 50 years. And it's which conservative does that?
No, none that I know of.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting, Don. I've known a lot of Republicans that have ran for the 5th Congressional District, and we've had a couple of candidates. And if you are successful in your primary bid, you would be going up against someone that's been on our show 2 times, Cicely Davis. And I think that the idea.
What you guys did were in an event together or something, right?
Yes, we were. Yeah, we had a good time.
Okay.
And so for me, right, as a conservative, I disagree completely with the way that you kind of characterize. I do believe that women's health is important. I just believe that a baby's life is just as important. When it comes to LGBTQ, I believe that people should be able to live the life that they want. I just don't believe that they should be forcing their ideas and beliefs on me. But the thing that I continue to find curious is Ilhan Omar is part of the squad. Oh. And the squad, they've had some well-funded donors. They have a populist message, a populist left for sure. But for you, How do you feel that you can kind of combat that? I know that this isn't your first rodeo. You've been out there, you've raised money, you've defeated, the Goliaths out there before, but this is a different scale. This is congressional. How do you see yourself doing, the fundraising from that aspect?
Yeah, I grew up in church, so there was this sort of David, and he comes as a big giant, and they say, you can't beat that guy. And he says, when I was taking care of the sheep out there, I faced a lion and a bear. So it's not how you do anything, is how you do everything.
Sure.
Okay? And so how I led as a leader here in my community is how I'm going to lead in this campaign and how I'm going to lead in Congress. That means that I take on difficult things. You don't live on my street when you have the options, unless you can take on difficult things.
Sure.
Right? And so I take on difficult things. I like that. I'm an inventor designer. Every day I woke up, I had to come up with new ideas. If I didn't come up with new ideas, I wouldn't eat. I designed toys for 30 years and had some successful toys on the market. Just waking up every day and going to Toys R Us and saying, man, there are too many toys here. There are no new ones to come up. My job was to come up with the new ones. And so I lived like that. And I think America needs new ideas, new solutions. And I'm ready to take them on. And I think America has the progressive left has a darling in my opponent, but I'm ready to take her on. And, I'm inspired by Martin Luther King. And I think we underplay and underestimate how much courage and hope it took for a poor, oppressed people who couldn't even look in someone's eye, a white person's eye, on the sidewalk. Had to get off the sidewalk when they came by. You could lose your job at the drop of a hat, no consequences. To hope and think and believe and lead a movement to transform the country, for me to come to America, and every job I got, I was the first one in that company at that level. And it was achieved by people whose conditions would make ours look like we're in nirvana. If they can do it, can you imagine what we can do? That's why I live where I live. That's why I'm taking on this race. And that's why I'm going to win.
I love the passion, and that's why I support you, because I love the passion. So I know your body of work, Don, and so I'm we'll spend every waking moment now informing folks of your work. It's not just politics that you're talking. You have been out there doing the work. And that's what I love, and that's why I support you, because I know you've been doing the work. This isn't just you woke up and said, vanity. You woke up and wanted to run. You want this big job. No, this is a man that has been deep in this community, where the action is, meeting people where they are, trying to find solutions. I respect that, mad love that, and I strongly support you. Look, we've got a few more questions because we don't want to hold you all night. So let's do kind of a rapid fire here. Quick question. You've made past statements that folks in the community will hold against you. Do you worry about that voter? How do you change that voter's mind? Are you sorry for things that you've said that offended folks in our community?
Well, you can see I'm a passionate person. And when I see injustice, unfairness, I kind of get into a take no prisoner mode, right? I mean, I'm serious. I kind of get a little bit crazy. I do not like injustice.
Word. It's passion,
right?
Man.
Yeah. And so sometimes I've seen things and said a little bit too much, gone a little too far.
Word.
And so I always am ready, anxious to apologize. But I think that when people see how much I care, that it becomes believable that I did things out of love. And in fact, my willingness to apologize quickly is a demonstration of that love. It's not about me. It was never about me. It's about change. It was about justice. And it was about opportunity for everyone. And so I apologize willingly for my missteps. They're always out of goodwill and a deep commitment to change and intolerance for injustice.
Word, I love that.
Yeah, I wanted to throw up. There's a question, two questions actually. One is more of a statement saying that someone loves the idea of a designer, seeking public office because it brings a unique perspective, right? You're having to problem solve and try and figure out what does the market want. Because if you design, honestly, a crap toy that no one wants to buy, then you fail, right?
Yeah.
Another person did ask,
and you have to get another job, by the way.
True enough. True enough.
Another person asked about debate. Have you guys had any discussions about having any debates?
Well, I'm anxious to have a debate. I actually love debates.
I can't tell. I mean, you just seems, I really can't tell that you like to debate.
Yeah, and I like to debate people intensely because I don't take it personally, and I don't think it's a personal thing.
See,
it's ideas,
that's
right?
me.
Oh, yeah.
Damn, that's me.
And I kind of like you guys, how you debate, and you kind of go at each other, and it's like, man, when they're done, are they going to be friends? But then, you are. And so that's that's kind of how I debate, passionately, but not personally.
No, that's how black, I think culturally, I've had to explain many times on the show. It's also culturally because it's how black folks debate and talk. We were talking football or sports. We put that picture out once and we might, we might get handsy, but it's, it's not offensive. We don't get angry, but that's what he and I talk about. And you're old enough to remember the Tip O'Neill to Ronald Reagan's. That's the type of politics that, I know I'm only going to be 44, but that I remember when you could maybe put on a show, but then behind closed doors, we got things done for the good of the people, right? And now in politics, that's novice. Speaking of novice ideal, that's a novice ideal of getting along anymore. The parties hate that. There's been an ugly articles written about something that happened with your wife a couple of years ago when the drowning of a child. While in the presence of your wife, Sandra. And let me say, too, I got mad respect for Sandra. She does incredible, great work, steeped in this community, has continued to do great work in this community even after that, and has expressed such sorrow for the incident. And I talk about it because I know about it, kind of personally, but there was an ugly article written about that, and then there were people attacking you for what happened with your wife. Again, I'm sorry if I'm babbling and haven't said. Your wife was there taking kids on a trip, and they went down to River's Edge. I don't remember what river, but Mississippi, wasn't it?
Yes, Mississippi.
And the young man somehow fell inside of the river. Your wife then went inside the river, went inside the water to try to rescue the young man who was, frailing, obviously nervous and scared and fighting back. And Mrs. Samuels tried to obviously save him, but she couldn't save herself and him with the current and his fighting. They got away from each other. The young man obviously got swept up by the current.
And someone's attacking on this?
Oh, absolutely.
How? It's a tragic accident.
It's been really ugly, bro.
It's politics, man.
It's been really ugly.
But let me say that, this was, bar none, the most devastating incident in my life and in my wife's life. And thank God we had each other in this. She dove in to save one child and could not save the other one. And in fact, she was drowning and had to be rescued. And I mean, can you imagine calling that mom?
No. No.
To tell her it was the worst day, and when she arrived and to watch her reaction to this thing, how inconsolable and desperately grieving she was, and so our hearts have been moved by the loss of Isaac, and perhaps even more as the days go by, and by the sense of what the family's grief must be, especially mom and dad.
Absolutely.
And so we, unfortunately, we haven't been able to get together. We desperately kind of wanted to grieve together, go to the funeral and so on, but it wasn't possible. You can understand that.
Yes.
But, we've had a year of therapy over it, just to kind of get back to some functionality. But the primary reason for our adjustment problem is what the family must be going through. And so
that's wild that they would use that as an attack.
Someday
It sounds
we
like a
can-
terrible situation, man.
yeah.
I just want to say too, Don. I want to say again, obviously our condolences go to the family. I was a part of the organization that was there when they found the young man and blah blah blah. I just want to say, thank you to you and your wife, because again, you guys could have hid. You could have ran out of the community, moved out of the community, because you guys did face a lot of backlash. I seen it. I know it. But you guys did. You faced it head on. She accepted full responsibility. She accepted of it. I know that there was some different things that you guys did for the family or tried to do for the family. So I want to say, I'm not trying to poo-poo any of that. I just want to say thank you, because you guys did act like community members after it happened. You didn't turn your backs on the community or their family. You guys tried to do what you could. And so I don't know if you guys were told. I want to say thank you, because it's a tragic situation that I know. And for you to say, I didn't know that your wife was receiving therapy. Obviously, one could imagine that she would be
traumatic, man.
Right. She went through the same thing, right? So
Absolutely. She was, devastated.
yeah.
I couldn't swim, so I couldn't go after the child.
Oh, Don, you were there as well. You were on scene as well.
Yeah, yes, we were there. We were there together. And I was consoling the other 4 kids.
Wow.
You can imagine them screaming. It was.
Sounds like a very traumatic
You
event.
kind of wish that you could wake up. It was that kind of a terrible situation. But I tell you, I appreciate your words, and I tell you why. I believe that at the end of the day, a community gets its self-concept from the sacrifices that are made for it. That's why the Jews love Moses. He could have been a king and all of that stuff, and they tell that story over and over. And we feel the same way about Martin Luther King. The people who sacrifice for us give us our self-esteem. That's why our mothers give us our self-esteem, right?
That's right. That's right.
And so I take great courage and comfort in sticking it out in our community, because I think in retrospect, it will be interpreted by the community as love for the community. And that will contribute to the transformation of the community's self-concept. Maybe one person, maybe 10 people, but that is the work, in my belief. That's the work we're doing. The politics, somebody comes and say, hey, Don, we want you to run. Please run. And I'll think about it and do it. But that's not my goal. My goal is to love this community and make whatever sacrifice necessary to ego, to comfort, to equity in our house, which we could get a lot elsewhere. That is sacrifice, and we're doing it out of love for our community. So this tragedy and even the article about it and all of that, that's just piling on the sacrifices we're making, the love we're giving. And so we're trying to do it without an attitude, without defensiveness, because it needs to be done in love.
No doubt about it. One last question here. Tomorrow, we talked about police reform. Was it a police problem? We had the 2020 killing of George Floyd that led to some actions across this country. Definitely led to an awakening. I don't know if you
Some actions, you said?
Well, yeah. I mean, some actions and some inactions. You're saying just lightly, right?
Saying,
Yeah, just a little bit, right?
It's probably
Just
going
a
to be
little bit.
like a generational defining moment.
No doubt. No doubt about it. Okay, you're right. Just a little bit, right? No doubt. And so, Minneapolis, I've lived here since 1983. Forward, one of those years. I'm getting old. I think Methuselah's my dad.
Your mom?
My dad, my mom. This is the first time I can remember us experiencing homicides like this on the level. We had the 95. That was just an anomaly, right? That wasn't what we go through all the time. Well, now, since 2020, we're averaging about 100 murders per year. We're at 40 plus already in this already early year. Your case is being heard because you and a couple of other folks, I know Kathy Spann, who also ran for city council, was one of them.
Right.
You guys sued Minneapolis when they had inadequate police force, right? And listen, you explain to your case is going to be heard tomorrow in the Supreme Court. Explain why you sued Minneapolis and why the case is going to be heard tomorrow.
Yeah, in 2019, we had 888 cops.
Okay.
At that time,
Beat cops, or can you explain that? Be specific with us.
uniformed officers.
Okay. All right.
Working different shifts and so on. At that time, Chief Arredondo said we needed more police officers to keep the city safe. Not only did we not get more, but we are now down to less than 600. In other words, we've lost more than 300 police officers. And that's a third of our department. And so we sued the city to bring the number at least to the minimum, which was 740 with our current population.
Which is required also, right? That's written into
Required by the charter.
the charter, correct?
Yeah. And so our commitment to expediting the process of refurbishing the police, the solution for us was a lawsuit, because we can't trust the city's enthusiasm, the city's competency, the city's level of urgency to be compatible with the kind of violence that we are experiencing on the north side. Five of us in the lawsuit are on my block. And one of those people asked her company to install a bulletproof metal headboard behind her bed.
Seriously.
Yes, and since the lawsuit, two of the plaintiffs have moved away because the doctor, their psychologist, told them, "Your child will not make it. He's being traumatized by the violence."
Damn.
And so, yes, it's like that. And so, what do? Sit back and wait? This thing is urgent.
Don, what are you hoping will come out of this Supreme Court? Because are they trying to hear whether or not they can be forced? Because I believe the lower court judge overruled the
yes, the lower court judge said that the mayor doesn't actually have to hire people; he just has to have the budget for hiring the people, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, totally. Which is what he'll do too. He'll just have the budget. No, I know he's a good dude.
So we know that that was illogical, and we are confident that the Supreme Court will restore the original decision by the lower court, which the appeals court overturned, and that is to force the city to do this, achieve this within a time frame.
But that was also a different city council too that was, as we say, pretty radical and progressive. We don't have that. Thankfully, we don't have those folks on the council now. We have a lot of sensible folks that would agree that reform. Because let me just bring you back to 1 second. One word you said. You said refurbish. Was that by accident? Because we say strong reform. Are you saying refurbish the police department, which means, kind of take your tile out of the back of your pocket and kind of dust a little bit? Or are we talking about real folk going in there, fine toothing things?
Yeah, the furbish was to the numbers.
Okay.
We wanted to restore the numbers.
All right.
But we want to reform the behavior.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Both at the same time. It is so simple. You have to do more than one thing at the same time.
That's right.
If you can't, and you're a leader, your community suffers.
That's right. That's right.
That's powerful, man.
Right. No, Don, listen, I can't say enough. I promise to go to work with your campaign, for your campaign, to help, beat Ilhan in this primary, because, again, I believe that you are someone that, number one, will go to Washington and work across the aisle, which I know I might sound all Pollyanna, sound like you now. I sound all Pollyannish.
Oh, you sound like me now.
To get things done, because, listen, our community, I'm not saying anything that, we've spent the last 40 minutes talking about it. This community is hurting, and there needs to be things done. And we have someone that thinks that being a part of a 3 or 4 group political squadron is politically expedient to get things done. Someone that thinks that bureaucracy is better than action. All right, and enough is enough. I can't tell you if a couple years ago, again, I would be saying this because, again, well, yes, I would, because I never cared for her body of work. Honestly, let's just keep it 100. I'm just happy. I was so surprised when I heard that you were going to primary her, because it takes guts. We're Democrats, and so, being a part of the party, you're going against the darling, that isn't supposed to be done. But the way you've always bucked the system for righteousness is not surprising. It's typical Don Samuels, right? And I mad respect that. And so, again, I will do my best to help you win this primary because I believe that you are the change that we need, right? And I'm gonna shut up because I can go on and I will go on, but I strongly support you, man, and I'm glad that someone is running against her that has the guts to call out the bad things that's happening in our community, but that's always been there to change those things, and that I know that you'll take that same attitude to Washington and get things done for our constituents and not be bogged down with party politics, And I respect that. Did I say that? Did I say that I respect that?
You did say it a bunch of times. Yes.
Okay. I like this dude. So, Don, man, we appreciate. Where can folks go, contribute, volunteer, do anything to help the campaign? Where can they go find you?
Yeah, they can go to donsamuels.com, and there you can find the donate button is pretty prominent. You can click on that and go, and you can donate to small or as large amount as you can, up to $2,900. And then there's also how you can get involved. And there you put in your information, personal information, and we'll be in touch with you. We're looking for, whether you want to have a lawn sign or you want to help door knock or make phone calls or drop literature. We have lots of different chores, and we are looking for as much support as we can get.
And you're going to get it too. Don, one more last question. Are you raising money? Because have you looked at what she has on hand?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's like totally dwindled, and I don't know where she's. Oh, her husband. Okay, I didn't say that. But she suddenly doesn't have a lot of cash on hand anymore, and I haven't seen her do commercials or anything. So seriously, where's her money gone? Are you doing a good job of raising money?
Yeah, this is sort of a national race, right? So
absolutely.
A lot of national interest on both sides.
Yes.
And so she's going to be able to raise money. I'm confident.
I can't tell right now. I know. I'm like Janet Jackson's homegirl. I know she used to be able to raise money, but what is she doing lately? So I don't know. But
she's the endorsed candidate. She is the establishment candidate, and so she'll be able to raise money there. And also then some people want to change.
True. And that's what I'm saying, Don. When an incumbent is not raising money, that kind of tells you that folks are feeling, look, a lot of us are coming out of the pandemic. We're coming out of the basements, and I'm not being funny, but that was a mental deal, right? And so I think folks are waking up to her antics and are asking, instead of antics, where's your action? For real, right? No more antics. It's time for some action. And she doesn't get action. She doesn't act. So, Don, appreciate you, man, for coming on. Please come back before the primary because we'd like to host a debate. So we're gonna call her people and get no answer. I mean, see if we can get a debate and
I would love to see if Ilhan would come on the show. I mean,
hold your breath.
Yeah, I know, right?
Hold your breath.
Because I actually would have a lot of things to ask her about.
See, that's exactly why she wouldn't come. She's like, wait a minute, I'm placing on two of you?
What? Be hitting from both sides.
No. Hey, Don, appreciate you, man.
Thank you, Don.
Good luck in your endeavor, man.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you for on. Man, I love that. No, I mean, bro, look, I've known Don for a long time and known his body of work, what he's done. And, again, I loved how he, he's like me. No, for real. I think I'm gonna be like Don when I get older. I'm gonna be Don. I'm never afraid to apologize, bro. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And sometimes maybe you gotta tell me where I'm wrong. You gotta pinpoint it. Yeah. And I'll think about it. I may not even say then, but I'll come back and say, I kind of effed up.
I think it's interesting. Like, of course, for me, I want CC to win. I know I think Royce is challenger in the primary, right?
Oh, please.
I think so. And if he were to win the primary, I'd support that too. But I think that CC
like losers?
A really good candidate. But I will say that Don is way better than Ilhan Omar. All right?
Of course you would. And of course he is, though.
I wanted to bring up this last point too. Now, last night, actually, in San Francisco, there was a recall election for the district attorney. And I think this all ties in together with Don saying we need to basically have safety, right? We need to make sure that we don't let criminals go out there and go buck wild. And this movement began about 4 years ago, where George Soros, and this is not a conspiracy theory, wanted to implement criminal justice reform across this country. And so he put somewhere around $40 million into a bunch of progressive DAs all across the country. And Chesa Boudin in San Francisco was one of those DAs. And Chesa Boudin came in with all of these very progressive criminal justice reform. And the people of San Francisco, liberal San Francisco, are like, hell no. and so this is what's so crazy to me, man. This is what, like, the conversation that we used to have between Republicans and Democrats, right, was like Republicans were too tough on crime and Democrats were a little bit lenient. Where now it's shifted where it's like Democrats are like, well, okay, man, let's at least lock up some of the bad guys, and the progressives are like, nope, let's just kind of, as long as you're not murdering anybody, and even if you murder someone and you come from like a poor background and it's not really your fault, maybe we'll give you like lesser charges. And so in San Francisco, man, to see that Chesa Boudin was recalled is insane. Now, in Minneapolis, right, we have a Hennepin County attorney race. And Mary Moriarty's been on the show multiple times. Yeah. She kind of has the same mentality as Chesa Boudin. And this is going to be what's so interesting is she has this idea of criminal justice reform, the same that John Choi has over in Ramsey County, that you decriminalize crime and that you can systemically root out these things by not charging people. But San Francisco said we had enough of this.
Well,
the open drug.
It's San Francisco, okay,
dude. I'm just saying, man.
It's San Francisco.
They weren't prosecuting anything.
We agree that there are prosecutorial. Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Prosecutable crimes, but I also understand where those prosecutors are coming from, AK, and you should too, as a black man. A lot of, even if they're white, which kind of annoys me, but anyway, when you look at the crime rates, especially when it comes to drug offenses in those states, San Francisco, Baltimore, here, blah blah blah, and you look at more minorities are jailed for this very same crimes than their white counterparts, then you come up with these ideas. Okay, guess what? I'm not going to charge Jamar that comes in with a weed charge. Oh, an ounce of weed, 2 ounces of weed.
Okay, what about fentanyl and heroin?
Then those people, those are the serious crimes, and those people should
not
be
for Chesa Boudin.
Well, again,
and that's my point.
She's again an anomaly, right?
He's a boy. He's a man.
Chesa is okay.
Yeah,
it's San Francisco.
No. His parents are actually convicted domestic terrorists, part of Bill Ayers' Weather Underground. They were convicted because they I think they killed someone. They blew up a judge's house and stuff like that, and so they were actually sentenced to 40 years in prison.
Well, I mean, y'all thought so was President Obama, but anyway, those type of crimes, yes,
but
you should be prosecuted.
But that's what I'm saying.
Excuse me. Yeah, no. It's kind of loose on that. But I do understand prosecutors that say, look, I'm not going to prosecute low-level offenses. Somebody comes in with a pound of weed, I'm not gonna sentence you to 23 years for that, like you would in Texas. No, I mean you're not harming anyone with those type of drugs. Or again, let's look at your record. There's a lot of things that mitigating circumstances go into it, but again, listen, it's also their right to do that. They elected him. They elected him.
Yep.
Recall him.
Yeah, so
They did the same thing to Gavin. They lost.
This was interesting. So I pulled up this ABC7 story, and it was just talking about, again, the failures of Chesa Boudin. The 85% of San Francisco's drug arrests happened, and when you say drug arrests, we're not talking about users. We're talking about people that are selling
mafia
fentanyl,
but okay,
and like all this different stuff. And it's crazy because in this article, not only is there this area called the Tenderloin, in which Chesa said, this is basically like, we're going to allow people to sell drugs and use drugs because it's a quality of life issue.
Sometimes it is.
But
sometimes it is, though. It often is.
700 people died from fentanyl overdoses in San Francisco, mostly because of Chesa Boudin's inability to prosecute. No, for real. So
I'm not going to blame Chesa
listen,
for
this
it.
This article explains that he actually said that if you are a low-level fentanyl drug dealer, that you are most likely coerced and you were threatened, and so he's not going to actually prosecute. So, like, unless you were moving major weight, not even the people that were selling. So guess what was happening? They were just sitting there, and they were dealing fentanyl at a crazy high rate. And of course, fentanyl is even worse than heroin, right? It's so deadly. This is to me what happens with these progressive criminal justice reforms where they're trying to decriminalize crime. And I don't think that the idea being that, talk about, like he did, right, cash bail reform and going cashless bail, right, stopping the prosecution of minors as adults, some of these things to help and try and deal with systemic racism, which you and I have had this conversation. I think if you're a criminal and you're doing criminal things, you should be charged. I don't care if it's disproportionate that there's more black people.
Yeah.
Unless you can prove.
You can prove it. It has been proven. Yes, it has.
The numbers don't matter.
It's been statistically proven, and that's why when you say that, that's why people like you create the Chesa Banks or whatever the hell his name is.
Chesa Boudin.
Whatever the hell his name is. You guys create him because of that rotten attitude of thinking that there's no proof that racism exists in the system. There's no proof that more blacks and minorities are jailed more than their counterparts, which we know that there is proof. The feds have come up with proof that blacks are jailed.
And you know what's funny?
More for low-level crimes than their white counterparts.
So you're saying that my position is what causes Chesa Boudin.
Yes.
Where what I'm saying is your position, because if I give you an inch, and
my position does create him too. Yes,
right.
I don't care. Because there needs to be a fine line.
But think about all the extra. So if we're gonna side on one way or the other, I think that the side that you're on, that I think allowed the sympathetic move to this entire progressive wave, that I think has contributed heavily to the increase in crime. Now, I think COVID and the mental strain definitely had an impact on the psyche of the American people, for sure. But it also coincided with this entire movement, and it's almost like a perfect storm of terrible timing. Like as someone that loves history, there's a part of me that is against certain policies. Just hear me out. Against certain policies from like an ideological perspective. But I'm curious to see how the experiment works. And here's what I mean. I've wondered, from a crime standpoint, if you did do all these progressive, criminal justice reforms where you don't charge people that are stealing less than $950 with theft, that you don't make sex crimes illegal, that you don't stop.
What Democrats say that?
Well, huh?
What Democrats said?
Chesa Boudin. That's
a Democrat. That's not Democrats.
No, that's also Garcon down in Los Angeles. That's Mobley in Baltimore.
No, she did not.
Yeah, no, I'm serious, man. Like, they're decriminalizing crime.
No, okay, go ahead. Finish your point.
And so my point is, I've always been curious to see how does this social experiment work, but COVID kind of messed everything up, because I think because of all the extra pressure, we don't get to see a true sample size. I still think it would have failed, because I think that criminals commit crime because they don't care about the law, because there are people that are evil and people that are shitty. And so if you want to stop shitty people from doing those things, you have to have law and order. That's my position.
We agree, but we also...
But I still am kind of curious to see how the experiment works, and it's clearly not working.
We agree there should be law and order. You can't have a society without it, but we should also agree that there should be equal laws and fair treatment of blacks and whites for the same crimes, or and not be judged or imprisoned on the color of your skin.
So it looks like we got a comment. We need to vote AG Keith Ellison out. Everybody on the defund train needs to go. The defunders played a dangerous game with the community. It's unfortunate that he couldn't put his head together with the defund crew and figure out another way. We need to get the spur-of-the-moment decision makers out of Minnesota.
She's on. First of all, let's shout her out because she's one of our biggest fans. She's here every week for us, and then she shares our show.
Yeah.
And so I finally got a chance to meet her about a month or two ago. So let me say, she got a twin sister too. They're both of them are fine. So let me say, thank you guys for being great supporters of ours. And she's absolutely right. Look, that's what I'm saying about Ilhan. Again, I don't support her, and I've often said again, I only voted for her because you're talking about her character. No, I'm gonna purposefully now spite you and vote for her because you're attacking her personally.
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? Let's talk about her policy.
I don't agree with it, but I hear
you. If you're voting for someone, if you don't care that the guy or gal that you're supporting is not talking about substantive issues and only attacking the person's character, thinking that that's campaign one-on-one that person should be doing, instead of talking about what ails me and my community in this nation, or depending on the couple of races that she's been in. Bro, you're losing already. I'm not going to vote. I'm going to vote for her for that reason.
I'm not trying to discount. I know that there are people that they do care about when someone attacks someone's character, right? And you're like, this is mean, spiteful, right? It feels like on an individual level. My perspective, look at the way that my morality and my brain works, is like I can say I don't like when people do that, but I still look at the body of work of the person and say this is a terrible politician with terrible ideas and policies. But I see what you're saying.
However, again, sometimes you get justified by the things that she did when it comes to the 2020 I'm finna call it insurrection. What are we calling it? Unrest. Yeah. When she did provide for some of her constituents. So you have things like that. But again, there's so much to talk about her policy-wise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where have you been on this?
Yeah.
What have you done for this? You're going to attack her because she runs.
Yeah.
She has no answer. But yet we attack her personally. And I'm like, okay, screw you. You lose me for that. Seriously. In politics, that loses me. Because if you're talking to someone, if you're going cheap and low and personal,
sure,
you're losing. You don't have anything to run on. And a person like Ilhan, you have a ton to run on.
Yeah. No,
come on, who's your campaign person?
That's fair. Well, you know, man, we're out of time.
Got to get the hell out of here.
I know we tried to make up. We went a little bit long on today's episode.
So say you, say
but
me.
If you guys enjoyed what you saw, please visit our Patreon account. Give us a consideration. Become a subscriber. Help produce this show and make sure that we can have great content.
Pay these folks holding the camera.
Pay the folks on the camera. And also make sure to hit our link tree. Connect with all of our socials so you can stay up to date with what we're out there doing. And it allows you to connect with us, you know?
It certainly does, but don't call my personal phone. No, it does, absolutely does. And thanks for sticking around with us. We were on a hiatus, but we're back. We're black and we're bad, and we got great guests lined up this month. We're finally gonna get to hear from former Deputy Police Chief Art Knight. That's gonna be a great show.
Yeah.
We just got jam-packed. It's primary season, so we're gonna stay political.
Yeah.
So of course
Just heating up now.
And exactly. So you know where to get your
Jamar's
fix
gonna
at.
owe me a steak dinner when Republicans win
No,
like 250
I ain't owed nobody
in the House, and we get like 57 senators in. So you know,
I ain't owed no Republican a steak dinner in 4 years. 4 years.
Jamar, I'm
Yes.
sorry to cut in, but is anyone going to get killed in this primary season?
Yes.
I'd hate to let the show go without.
I know, and I wasn't. Every single time I think about how some Republicans are going to do against some of these bigger Democrats, I say to myself,
Man, Jenga's gonna kill that boy.
I'm Jamar.
I'm AK Kamara.
Check us out next week, y'all. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.